Overseas practice engagement is a key component of the program development, administration and planning. It is aligned with DPU's pedagogy of practice-based learning. The Overseas Practice Engagement, or OPE, is a part of a 30-credit core module called Development in Practice. It aims to equip students with hands-on real-life experience of development intervention in a post-colonial context. The practice-based learning offers a critical perspective towards developmental industry, institutional framework, and various actors which are associated with the development intervention. The module is taught across 3 terms. In term 3, students travel to Sao Paulo as part of their fieldwork for primary data collection and a deeper engagement with our partners. The overseas practice engagement follows 2 pedagogical principles of DPU. One is co-production of knowledge, and the other one is partnership with equivalence. It not only creates a horizontal relationship with partners in Sao Paulo, but also critiques the normative top-down approach of development. By doing so, it aims to democratize knowledge production process and make students an integral part of it.
The Overseas Practice Engagement Project is part of a wider and longer relationship that we do have with FESP. We started collaborating with FESP back in 2022. The idea of going to Sao Paulo on one side was to foster a cross-learning and exchange of knowledge, but also at the same time to challenge ourselves with the complexity of a city that is very relevant.
What's been important for FESP is to welcome the students here, because this happens to impact our internationalization of our students. Also at FESP we are very well located in São Paulo. We are in the center, so we have access to a lot of partners, but independently from that geographical aspect, we build these relationships and we struggle to maintain these relationships for many other things that we do, but especially we mobilize them when DPU comes to São Paulo to do field research.
The program critiques normative models of development because of its neocolonial roots and generalization principles. By engaging with our partners in Sao Paulo, it enables students to learn how context-specific understanding are important for any developmental interventions.
I suggested some of the partners that are really working to act on that kind of development, which is basically human development.
Many of the partners that we work with originates from different rights-based social movement process. From these various forms of organization, students get exposed to various vantage points to critically engage and analyze developmental intervention. We also conduct thematic city tours with local resource person to provide students an overall understanding of the city of Sao Paulo. Students usually work in groups, and each group is assigned to a partner where students work on a live project identified by our partners.
Local partners have provided us with an impressive array of topics and thematic areas that were on one side of relevance for the students, of relevance for our current research interest, but also of relevance for their current agendas.
Turma de mestrado.
Globalicemos la lucha.
Globalicemos la esperanza.
Globalicemos la lucha.
Globalicemos la esperanza.
Globalicemos la lucha.
So the partner we were collaborating with was called MST, and it is an organization that promoted socio-economic transformation in Brazilian society and also agrarian reform. In terms of our research, we had a more specific focus on one of the schools that is operated by the MST. And this school has a specific concentration on political consciousness formation. And so based on this, we came up with our research question, which is how do those radical educational practices in this school actually contribute to the formation of social justice. After our research, we actually figured out that agroecology is their primary promotion. It has a political meaning behind it. Basically, it opposes agribusiness.
other groups that partnered with formal organizations, my team worked with an indigenous community in Aldeia Tecuapeau. This means our experience were more relational, more grounded, and it was shaped by community's priorities and rhythms. So our research critically examined the coexistence of indigenous medicinal practices in Sao Paulo's healthcare system. And especially for this community, for them, health is not separate from land, spirituality, or governance. For them, it's an interconnected sacred system. So we grounded our studies in medical anthropology, decolonial theory, and indigenous studies. And we tried to move from the conventional methodologies and adopted like storytelling, oral history, participatory mapping, and transect work, the methods that align with the Guarani's way of knowing and transmitting the knowledge. Throughout the research, we try to prioritize the co-production and we try to give community the agency, and in the process, we try to find the cultural and social barriers affecting their recognition, and then we found the existing policy gaps and practices, and we come up with like strategies that are like not traditional or like not in a measurable way, but in ways that honor indigenous sovereignty and their lived experiences. And for us, like we don't see like indigenous medicinal practices as an alternative to biomedicine. For us, it's a authoritative, self-determining system in its own right.
Traveled to Brazil to work with an NGO called ACA Educative. ACA Educative focuses on human rights, and prior to going to Brazil, we were given two thematic areas, which was race and street football. You know, after speaking and interacting with the NGO, we added gender as well, because that's also part of one of the objectives that they work with on. Our research report then created a research question which was focused on whether participating within street football leads to social and educational improvement for marginalized youth, which includes female and people from different races as well. So after interacting and participating within street football itself, we realized that, you know, street football itself is not just the regular football we see on TV, but it has 3 different segments, and each teaches the youth about, you know, creating your own rules, following these rules you created, holding each other accountable, and mutual respect and leadership skills that, you know, that they will normally not be able to gain within the regular or formal educational curriculum.
At the end of term 3, students produce a research report based on their analysis of developmental project of their respective partners.
It is important for us to foster processes of co-production of knowledge that are non-extractive ones, that are embedded in what the partners are currently doing and in their daily struggle. We aim to give something back to partners in the forms of a report.
These reports are later shared with our partners, which gives them a chance to evaluate their own interventions.
There is a component of having point of view that is from people who have never even stepped on the country. So this commonly brings some refreshing views on things, but mostly I get the sense that people come very well prepared. They understand who they are studying beforehand, and then they work hard while they are here to check if they took the right assumptions, if they are challenged in their first hypothesis. There are some reactions from partners telling them, oh, I like the way you see me because I'm so used to my day-to-day life that I don't see that which you're showing to us today after you do a field work for a week.
First of all, it is very practical. I think this is the first thing that I want to stress. This OPE actually provided us the opportunity to actually step our feet on the field and to really engaging with our partners, with people who are actually promoting initiatives to advocate for social equality, for justice. This helped my academic journey in depth, more holistic.
I think OP is something that everyone looks forward to, and it is one of the most exciting and attractive part of the DPU courses. And once you are actually on the field, that's when you like really realize like why the course is designed the way it is and how it has actually prepared us for it, and everything starts to make sense.
I would say the OPE really brought that alive to me. Personally, I don't really have insight or professional experience in the development industry. And, you know, we were taught quite a lot in the classroom, and it was really hard to really put that into practice. We were taught a lot of theory, a lot of practical, a lot of like, you know, methods to use, and it was quite hard to visualize how this would be implemented in the field itself. So while traveling to Brazil and being able to implement this, you know, this vast amount of knowledge that we had during classroom was quite insightful, and it really brought it to life to me.
And what's even more interesting is how the OP has been like designed by the department, like with the real partners, with the students from like different countries, different professional backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, different values, lived experiences, perspectives. And for me, it was really a time to reflect on myself, on my own beliefs, my own assumption. And personally, I have found myself questioning a lot during the time.
It made me realize the importance of being reflexive and introspective. The knowledge I have is always contextual. I think it's always important to deconstruct my knowledge and to be aware of my positionality. And it's also beneficial to my career development to always understand that my perceptions and my interpretations, they may be biased. And I think this is also beneficial to me as an individual in my personal growth as well.